The inspiration for the songs because of you. The inspiration for the songs because of you. The inspiration for the songs because of you. You. It's for you. Can you sing it with me, baby? Can you sing it with me?
Hey, everybody. Can y'all hear me? I think I was muted at first. Welcome to another episode of Relationshipology with your girl, Lady J. And
Your boy Keith Omar.
all right. So I know we've been absent for like the last 2 weeks, but we had a lot of stuff going on. So it was a snowstorm, and some other stuff, but we back.
Yep.
So before we get into our topic for today, of course, we got to get those formalities out of the way, y'all. So real quick, if this is your first time tuning into the show or to JQL on radio, and you would like to share with your family, friends, and followers on all the different ways that they can tune in, be sure to tell them to download the JQL on radio app on their Apple or Android devices. You can also listen live via Amazon Alexa, TuneIn app, Stream a Simple Radio app, and a host of other platforms of which you can find located on our website at egoentertainmentnet.com. Also, don't forget to follow, like, and share us on social media at JQLM Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also listen live on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. Ego Net, follow us there, EGOENTN, and connect with us on LinkedIn at Ego Entertainment Network. Last but not least, if you would like to connect with Lady J, you can connect with me on social media, Lady J Brand on Facebook, Lady J on Instagram, Jack on Twitter, Lady J on LinkedIn, and you can catch me on my website at ladyj.co. Oh, that was a mouthful. Keith, Omar, go ahead, tell them how they can connect with you.
You can catch up with me on Facebook and also on Instagram at Keith Omar Jackson on Facebook and King Keith Omar at on IG.
All right, so tonight's topic, y'all. I really felt like I needed to do this show because I've been seeing some of this, floating around social media, and I know this all too well. So, now me not personally. Let me just put that out there. Not me personally, but I know some people. So tonight's topic is kids are not pawns. Keith, tell me what comes to mind when you hear kids are not pawns.
What comes to mind is someone is manipulating the relationship with the other parent with a child or a parent figure with a child to get them to do their bidding, basically, get them to see things their way, get them to do things their way. They're just manipulating the situation altogether.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. So listen. I will never understand why women think, and I say women because let's be honest, 99% of the people who are used to porn are women. So let's just put that out there. I will never understand why women think that it is okay to use their children to try to control somebody, and I don't understand the logic behind that because as children get older, like they develop their own sense of understanding and personalities and things of that sort. And 9 times out of 10, it's gonna backfire on you. So let's we can go a couple different ways with this topic. So first, let's just talk about the reasons why some women feel like it's okay to use kids as pawns. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick this thing off and say the number one reason though is a lot of women feel some type of way when the man don't want her no more. And so she tries to use the child to kind of bend him towards, what I'm saying, still paying attention to her, still giving her, his time and energy and things of that sort. A I don't know, what would you say are some of the other reasons that women tend to turn to this form of trying to make the man do what he wants?
I think it's a lot to do with they want to hurt that person because they feel hurt. Um, I think that's the that to me. I think that's the number one reason they want to hurt that person because they feel hurt by that person. And the best way to do that is, you quote unquote in your possession, you have something that they care about and they love, and you are in control of it. So you manipulate it so you can hurt them, never understanding the idea of you're hurting the child as much as you're hurting him. So I mean, I think it's crazy, but people do what they do.
I think that that is a good reason too. That's another reason why a lot of women tend to use kids as pawns. I think that I think that it is.
Financial reasons too.
You said what?
Financial reasons.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely that. Oh, so yeah, we'll get to that.
Hmm.
So, I think that it is immature, and unwise to, uh, you know, respond in that manner. So when you're hurt, you need to take that time. You know what I'm saying, to heal and understand too that this child didn't ask to be here. You know, and so uh, I don't think they really realize the magnitude of the negative uh, effects that they have on their kids when they try to turn the child uh, against the father or keep the child from the father. And because children need both their mom and dad. And I mean, let's just be honest. A lot of kids start to develop their identity or try to understand who they are based on dad, not mom, but dad. Um, this speaks to why the child usually carries the father's last name, while daddy's voice carries a certain level of authority over mama's voice. This is why mothers usually have to speak two or three times or rate elevator voice in order for you to listen. You know what I'm saying? Versus daddy can say something once, adjust his tone, and you straighten up. You know, these are facts. You know what I'm saying? It's not an opinion, it's facts. So I think that we rob our children of discovering themselves, who they are, and being able to have that much needed relationship with dad when we do that to our kids. And understanding though too, when you do that, you're trying to hurt him, but in essence, you're really hurting the child, and ultimately you'll end up hurting yourself because then that child will grow up to resent you. And it could very well completely destroy your relationship with your child.
I have a cousin. I have a cousin who has a child that's been through that, and when he realized that his mother was the manipulator, he 100% was like, "I'm off you." Like he was at a point to where for more than 5 years he didn't speak to her. He didn't
Wow.
see her for holidays. He could care less if she sent him a birthday gift and all that. He didn't care because he felt so hurt because he's heard her badmouth his father. And then to find out the truth because my cousin had, all the evidence in the world to show that he was doing what he's supposed to be doing and
Yeah.
tried to do more.
Right.
But she manipulated that whole situation. Once he found that out, I mean, literally, he was
How
not
old was
messing with
he
her no more.
when he
When he
found
found out, he was
out?
like 16.
16?
Yeah. So mind you, he didn't talk. He didn't start talking to her again until after 21.
Dang. And see, 16 at 16, a boy is starting to become a man. And women have to stop. Listen, I'm a mother of, so let me just put this out there. I'm a mother of two sons. I have a 17-year-old, and my youngest son will be 12 actually next Thursday. Um, and for the first 10 years of my oldest son's life, his father was not present. Uh, after like we got divorced. So he spent a lot of his time not spending time with his dad, not talking to his dad, and it started to change. I saw that it started to change his behavior, how he would interact because he started to become angry and started to turn into this other type of person. So I had to, as a mother, I could teach him how to be a good person. I could teach him how to treat young ladies and his sisters. You know what I'm saying? I can't teach him how to stand up and pee at a toilet. I can't teach him, you know what I'm saying, how to now I could teach him how to maneuver through his emotions because I'm a woman, so I'm a little bit more, well versed in that. But as a boy, it's different for y'all how y'all process things. There are a lot of different things I can teach him. You know what I'm saying? How to be a man or how to be a young man because I'm not a man. But I started to build a village, incorporate other men like his uncles, his grandfather, in order to kind of keep him um on not just on the straight and narrow, but also to have some type of relationship with a male figure or male father figure, you know what I'm saying, in his dad's absence. And
To see
so,
how a man operates.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I think that um what women don't realize is when a boy turns 15, 16, that's when they're entering into like manhood. Like they start to, you know what I'm saying, transition in that and they don't
You,
know
you,
certain things and how to maneuver that.
I actually take it a step further than that. I believe when they're preteens, that's when they need more interaction with men. And the reason I say this is because that's when they develop a consciousness of separating their how they interact as a boy versus a girl. Um, and what I mean by that is, you know, women, you all are way more in tune with your feelings. Men, we are in tune with our feelings, but we don't have to always show it. And I believe it's important for us not to always show it as well. I believe it's important to voice it and show it when necessary. Um, those are the difference. Like, I remember one time my son, he had to be, JJ had to be maybe like 3. And I was picking him up from his mom. And she has like 2, 3 steep steps at the stairs. And he fell down the first, he fell down the last 2. And she wanted to just go and baby him so quick. And I could see it on his face. He was waiting for a reaction. And I was like, okay, dude, get up. And she, like, I had to stop her. I put my hand up towards her, like, hold up now, stop. And I was like, I said, okay, dude, get up. Like, brush yourself off. He brushed himself off. And you can see he was kind of trying to hold back the tears a little bit.
Hmm.
I was like, you don't gotta cry. Are you? I said, does it still hurt? He shook his head, no. I was like, you dust yourself off? He dust himself off. I said, come over here, give me a hug. He gave me a hug. I was like, you okay? He said, yeah. And he got right in the car. And he was fine.
Hmm.
Now, had she showed so much concern, it'd have been a different reaction. He'd have totally bawled out and cried, and he'd acted like he was about to die. And like it was the worst thing ever in the world. All because her reaction showed that he should do that.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe the relationship of a man and the relationship of a woman with a child is different, especially when, at a boy. And I believe, you know, just growing up watching men interact, I believe it's important while they're preteens to catch that. Because now they understand, because they come up with a different idea and understanding of why I need to act a certain way.
Mhm. Right. I agree with that. As my youngest son, I noticed that there are certain changes in him. With him being confident in himself, you know, and while he does have a great relationship with his dad doesn't live in the same state in the same city. So um so he sees him at like blocks of time, but he talks to him every day. But I noticed that like with my oldest son, he didn't really go through that. But my youngest son is a little bit different, and he's the baby of the group too. So of all the people. So I agree with that. That um preteen is probably definitely for a boy those important years. Like he definitely needs his father, you know what I'm saying, or some type of father figure. And let's be clear, it's good to have a father figure, but children don't necessarily understand how to fully accept that as being enough when their father is
True.
absent, because it's not the same as having your
Right.
father. And as a
Exactly.
girl that grew up without her father, if you have daughters and you try to keep them from their fathers as well, you are robbing her of her first love. You know what I'm saying? You are robbing her of, especially, and I ain't talking about fathers that are real deadbeat, you know what I'm saying, that are abusive. I'm talking about
Right.
good fathers that want to be a part of their kids' lives. You are robbing her of her first love, you're robbing her of an example of what
E-
a man
And you
should be.
know what I say? I say to Lady J, even if he's not the ideal father, all because he wants to be involved, that's even more the reason why he should be involved. I mean, there's no, there is no handbook on how to be a good parent. Let's just put that out there for one anyway. There's just not a handbook for it. So, like, um, I believe if there's a man who really, let's like, I had a young lady tell me this one time on another talk show we were doing a couple years ago, and she was like, "Well, he's not the ideal father." I was like, "Well, you chose him though."
Mhm.
I was like, "So that don't make you the ideal mother. If you knew he wasn't going to be an ideal father, but you still chose to lay with him and have a child with him, then you're not an ideal mother." So I have to question your critical thinking as well. I was like, "So, but beyond that point, does
Mhm.
he want to be involved?" And she was like, "Yes." Okay, so there's no handbook on how to be a good parent. The fact that he wants to be involved tells me that he's not going to be reckless,
Hmm. Now,
or at least
um,
try not, or at least try not to be. How about that?
yeah, let's come back to that point.
At least try not to be, because
Uh,
we based on how you grow up, your idea of safe environments can be different. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
that's true.
So, like for example, I remember being around. I remember being around older cousins who
Mhm.
could have been my uncle, around because of the age the differential, drinking and smoking.
Mhm.
Now they wasn't smoking. It wasn't smoking anything illegal. It was
Right.
always using cigarettes, and drinking 40 ounces. They made sure they watched their language around me, but it also wasn't the ideal environment to be around
Right.
because you're
Right.
introducing me to something that really isn't a good thing, with drinking and smoking. But
Exactly.
nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? I learned a lot of important lessons around that environment too. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So, like I said, it might not be always ideal, but you know what I'm saying? Based on what you get out of it, based on what they teach you,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? It could be an environment that you needed to be in to learn how to maneuver.
Right. Now we also have to look at, so before we get into like how it affects fathers, and how in the way that some fathers get to the point where they actually give up and trying to be a part of their kids' lives, because we
Hmm.
have to factor that and then go into, you know, well, what are some of the tips and stuff we can use, or share and, give to people to kind of help them through these emotional fits, if you will. Uh,
Hmm.
um, when you get to the point though where you feel like either you're hurt, so you want to keep the child from the father, or he doesn't want to anymore, but he still wants to be a part of his kids, lives, and you can't handle that, or when you get to the point where well, you ain't paying child support, so you can't see your kids. Those are like the three main reasons that I see women doing that. And so let me just from a woman who's been in this situation before. um I was married, you know what I'm saying? I waited to get married till I had to have kids. um and that didn't work out, and he wasn't in our children's lives, nor did he pay child support. But I was determined, being a child of being a fatherless child, and eventually becoming a motherless child, I know what it's like not to have your father around. And I knew how important it was. And there are certain generational curses and things I wanted to keep my children from, and cycles I didn't want to repeat. So, um, okay, as a mother, you're going to do whatever it is that you need to do to take care of your kids, right? So whether he's paying you child support or not, that should not have any bearing on whether or not he gets to see and spend time with his children. That is something that he will have to answer for concerning those children as they get older. I think that it is extremely dangerous for you as a mother and your relationship with your child to decide to keep them from him simply because you're not receiving money from him or child support. Uh, a man doesn't need to spend money to spend time with his kids. He doesn't need money to teach a lesson, to his kids to help raise them, to what I'm saying, pour
Show
into
them
them.
love.
He doesn't need money to do that, and that is much more important than money. Because what kids remember, well, daddy took me to the skating rink and daddy took me to the park, and they're never going to remember, well, daddy spent $25. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to remember
It's
that.
conversation. Like
Exactly.
like I said, my cousin's son. I call him my nephew because in our as most black people, when you have a cousin who's so much more older than you are, that they could be your parent, you don't call them cousin, you call them uncle or aunt in most cases. At least we adopted that from the South. My parents came from Mississippi, so my nephew was like he was, when I say totally off his mama, he was totally off his mama. He done seen all the deceit and all the, like, he actually seen it. You know what I mean? He remembered, and like he has a memory like it's no other. So he actually remembered times that she said something, and then when he go back and ask his father about it, his father can prove to him different, and he totally remembered the time, and you could see the bitterness on his face. Like, to even hear her name, he would roll his eyes like, man, like,
Hmm.
for a 5 year stretch. We're talking about a 16-year-old to about 21, going on 22, did not speak to his mother, did not speak,
Hmm.
had no relationship for that long over somebody that he was in her house from the age of three by themselves into 16. So he felt betrayed. That's how
Hmm.
he felt. Like, we had a conversation about it one time. He's like, I felt betrayed, Uncle Keith, because I felt like she held stuff away from me. Like, I could have had a better childhood. Not that I had a bad one, but I
Hmm.
could have had a better one. He
Hmm.
was like, me and Sissy with his sister. He was like, we could have had a better childhood. Like, yeah, we got to be with Daddy every summer, and be there for 2 or 3 months, and do a whole bunch of stuff with y'all. But I could have had him way more. You know what I'm saying? I could
Hmm.
have talked to him over the phone more. She restricted that when I was young and when I was at home, with her.
Hmm.
Then when she married my stepfather, he used to try to discipline me like I was his child. He was like, you know, I wasn't doing anything extremely or bad. It's just that, he wanted to show he ruled the house. So, like, I was defiant over that because like, it was just a lot of things that added up and added up and added up. And people don't understand when they're doing this selfish bidding that, you know, you're still growing crops. They might not be good, but you're growing,
Right. Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know.
So y'all, we gotta take a quick break, but when we come back, we're gonna get
We're going to
into,
get more into the subject.
yeah, when we come back, we're gonna get more into the subject. We're gonna talk more though about how it affects the father too. You know what I'm saying? We kind of touched on how it affects the child. We're gonna talk about how it affects the father because that's important too. It's you, the dad, and the child. So yes, we can say we're gonna be right back. You are tuned into Relationshipology right here on JQLM Radio, a division of Ego Entertainment. If you're tired of hearing the same music and content every 5, 10, or 15 minutes on air, then check out JQLM Radio for the realest, rawest, and most relevant variety of music, talk shows, and more. Start your days with a little bit of gospel and gospel rap from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All of my life, I've never known you to fail. You deliver me. Cause all I seem to do is coming and breaking it down with that wicked style, man. We really be living it out, don't miss it.
Then get into some hot R&B.
What you doing?
Some hip hop.
Falling in deep with the quicksand. Flag on my hand, oh quick run. I was packing on the pound, got my
Look, once upon a time, and I heard that.
A little bit of pop. And some neo soul for the rest of the day. JQLM Radio, real, raw, and relevant.
holds my hand.
Atlanta, stand up, come out, and support your own. Anointed T-shirt company and Let's Talk Real Talk presents GDFAM. God Didn't Forget About Me brand launch and fashion show, refreshments, fashion show, red carpet, networking, and more. It's going down on Saturday, February 26th at BPU Global Network Event Hall, located at 5595 Riverdale Road in College Park, Georgia, and it's free. For more information, visit letstalkrealtalks.com. Oh, and Ego Entertainment Network will be in the building. This is an event you don't want to miss. The GDFAM brand launch and fashion show. God Didn't Forget About Me, and you either.
Hey there. If you can hear my voice, this is Pamela, host of Hospitality, here to remind you that Ego Entertainment Network has a lot for your business. Listen, honey, you need to get with it. Ego Entertainment offers various services, media coverage, red carpet services, promo interviews on air. They offer meet and greet services, honey, not to mention other event services. You want to get in gear. Ego Entertainment is empowered greatness optimized. We're now booking and spots are going fast. Ego serves the United States and all event types, honey. So if you are opening a business, having a store opening, a restaurant opening, and you want some coverage, Ego Entertainment is the way to go. Call or text 317-886-0296 or go to egoentertainmentnet.com.
All right. And we are back. You are tuned into Relationshipology right here on JQLM Radio, a division of Ego Entertainment Network, with your girl, Lady J, and Keith Omar. And we've been talking about kids are not pawns. So before the break, we were talking about how we as women tend to use our children to try to control the fathers of our children when we are hurt, when they don't want us, or when he's not paying child support, and how devastating and detrimental that can be to that child and to your relationship with your child. So now on the flip side, before we get into how we can fix this, because I see this a lot in the African American community. I don't know about the other communities because I'm not a part of the Caucasian community, the Asian community, and the other community. So I don't know how they roll, but I know that it is it is a epidemic in the African American community. So let me just put it that way. As far as fathers, I know Keith, you being a father, I'm pretty sure you can speak for the men better than I can. What I can do though is share what I've seen, concerning men who have children, who love their children, who wanted to be a part of their children's lives, who were not able to. Now, I do believe that there is only one instance where you should keep your child from that father, and that is in danger. If that father is abusive to your child in any shape, form, or fashion, sexually, physically, or putting them in harm's way consistently, I've had to deal with that myself. That is the only time that it is warranted. I will say that. So I don't know, Keith, can you speak on a little bit about some of the
Yeah, I,
men?
I, um, I, I believe what, like, when it comes to fathers, we as men, we choose to, I don't even want to say choose. We have been steered to not take 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 these women to court. We've been steered not to try to handle it the quote unquote adult way. We get to a point to where we're frustrated because let's call it what it is. The court system don't line up for our best interests in most cases anyway. So we tend to be frustrated because a lot of times what these mothers don't understand is even financially we are not in a place to where we can do for them like they do for them. For example, most women who have to, let's just take the average. Well, I'll just use the averages because I have numbers for some of these averages. The average man makes about a third less than a woman. The average, okay? Because especially in the black community, because the black community, hell, not even just the black community, but black women in general are the most educated creatures in this country, in the world. So if we're going to take that, we're going to say, okay, well, since they're the most educated, that means they have better jobs than most black men. And if they have better jobs, they have better benefits. They're like, you have PTO time to where you can do more, take time off and be able to do more. You have more vacation time because, you have a better position or a better job to where it offers you better benefits. To where most men, let's just say they work a warehouse job where they're making almost $5 to $8 less an hour easily. You know what I mean? So you take all these things into factor. And I remember because I'm the one that made the idea that we take, me and my son, mother, we go down to child support literally after about 3 weeks after he was born. My whole theory of doing that, I kind of regret doing it now, but my theory for doing it was I wanted her to make sure that she knew that there was nothing that she was going to be able to do to hold anything over my head to get me to do something worth her bidding if I didn't want to do it. I did not want to be held hostage. I didn't want to be held hostage with the ideal of, well, I'll just take your child support. I wasn't gonna go for that. So my thing was, well, let me go handle that right now. So now and also I want to understand exactly what it was that it was going to take for me every week to make sure I took care of that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be no surprise. So she decided, well, I'm just going to take you to child support. And then, without warning, I got X amount of dollars coming out my check. And I had no expectation of it coming out. Now here I am behind on bills, this and that, and the third. I didn't want to be surprised by hear that. So that's the reason why I did a lot of that by myself. And I just think, we, like financially, for the average man, when this happens, I remember going to this house for office. Literally, they asked her every question in a book. Well, how much do you pay in rent or mortgage? How much is your light bill? How much is your gas bill? How much is your water bill? How much do you pay a homeowner's insurance or renter's insurance? Like they went through everything that she possibly had to come out of her pocket with to assess how much child support was going to be. They asked me, I believe, 3 questions. And if I'm not mistaken, these three, no, I take it back. They asked me 2 questions. Literally only asked me 2 questions to assess how much money was going to come out of my pocket. The 2 questions were, Mr. Jackson, do you have any other children that you're paying child support for or taking care of? And how much money do you make? The only 2 questions I was ever asked. I didn't get the benefit of the doubt or the idea that, hey, he has a mortgage that he has to pay. Oh, hey, he has, homeowners insurance or renters insurance and, a car note and he has to pay maintenance on the vehicle just like she does. He has to pay a light bill, a gas bill, a water bill, like she does. He had like they never took in consideration, didn't care if I did or didn't. Shouldn't that like I always thought, well, shouldn't I have taken also an idea of how much money I can come out of my pocket for to also to help take care of raise this child? Also, none of those deductions even get to be a ideal or factor when I have it. Like these things, a lot of people don't understand. So like these parents that get mad, oh, but he hasn't paid child support. Well, you know what? He on a struggle, just like you are. Think I always say this. You know, like, and then to top it off, since child support in most states aren't state mandated, it's actually an agency that handles it. They have a fee. The agency has a fee that the 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 parent who's doing the paying has to pay. So my thing is this: I'm not benefiting for child support taking money to make sure it's getting paid. I'm not the beneficiary of that. But they also expect me to pay for that. So I was like, like I look at these things, as you get older, you start to understand these things, and you start to understand, you know, it's kind of like, man, they put that in, behind the eight ball on you, and now you're playing, like if you ever slip or fall behind, you got to play catch up, and playing catch up is a tough thing to do, a real tough thing to do. And I just feel like, what should happen is it don't just take a financial toll. Excuse the children in the background, you all, but it doesn't take just only a financial toll. That begins to take a mental toll as well, because mentally you have to think about, man, how do I gotta go by trying to take care of this child as well, and then you start to also feel it emotionally because you have that woman on your case about not being able to provide financially, even though you're stepping up in every other way, shape, and form. And then you also have that person, sometimes in most cases, they badmouth you because you're not paying. Because I can't afford to pay right now, but that don't make me less than a father. So what happens is men start to feel less than. And then, like I've seen people get depressed. Hell, I almost got depressed in a situation like that. And as you all know, I'm very strong-willed. So if it could break me down to that point, I can just imagine what it does to a whole lot of other people. So like it's just a lot that people have to take into consideration. Like I always say, I understand you in the struggle. Like I remember my son mother saying this to me one time, and I really felt like that's messed up. She said to me, "Well, that's not my problem." And I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, "Yo, it's messed up that you're asking me to do something extra for you, so I can take care of my son for something." And even though I pay child support and I help you take care of the other two that was before him, and where I stand when it comes to helping anything over there at that household, because it's a benefit to any and everyone at that household if I can. But for you to fix your mouth and tell me that's not your problem, it made me understand something real quick. I said I shouldn't be as thoughtful. I should just take care of my business. Lady J, I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Now I will say that everything that you said, I like I said, I've heard from other men as well. But I also want to real quick touch on the flip side of that,
Mhm.
because as someone who um was with people who had means to pay child support and just didn't want to, you also put an extra strain on the woman.
Oh,
Remember a time
absolutely.
I cannot remember the time where I was not working two jobs, a full-time job, a part-time job, and going to school, taking care of my kid. You know what I'm saying? And got so tired of going down to court over and over and over. Because when you're in the state of Indiana, when you're married, child support is an automatic. Ain't no, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's a part of the divorce. So um every time I went down there, that was taking money out of my pocket. to take care of them. You know what I'm
And I totally understand that.
So if you,
I think in my case, I'm talking about not the jokers who trying to get over. You know what I mean?
yeah, there's a
Yeah.
flip side to that for men too. So for a man who, let's say, doesn't want to be put on, he does want
Right.
to be part of his and he doesn't want to be put on child support, but he just wants to, give money to the mom. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing: if you're gonna do that, do it on a regular basis because she don't get to pick and choose the day of the week that she has to pay a bill or that she got to
Right.
here or that she got to buy diapers or something like. She don't get to pick choose that. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, whoever the child lives with the most, it just so happens that that person has to sacrifice a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it just is because she's responsible for all of those expenses along with including that child's expenses. So when men get into the habit of paying child support it's coming out of their check, another thing I think that can impact them in a negative way though is when the mother understands that this man is being a part of his child's life, that he wants to be part of his child's life, and he is taking care of his business financially. I don't care if he's on minimum wage making $7.25 an hour. If he's giving you $5 a week so he can keep a roof over his head. So when he does come and get his child got somewhere to lay their head. That $5 a week is evidence that he is trying. You know what I'm saying? He's putting forth the effort. You know what I'm saying? It's consistent. Now, when it comes to him getting a second job or getting a better job, instead of allowing him to get on his feet, what a lot of women do, they will run down and be like, oh, he got another job, or oh, he got a raise, so that means I can get more money. Instead of trying to bleed him dry, you know what I'm saying? Co-parent. When you need extra, just ask, Now I'm the type of person where I didn't like asking, because you weren't consistent in paying anyway. So you didn't even want to pay. So no, you do need the courts involved, because really it should be two people coming together, making an agreement, and both of y'all take care of this child together. No court system should have to force you to take care of your child. You know what I'm saying? Now you, on the other hand, you went down on your own, you know what I'm saying, just so that couldn't be held over your head, which was, you know what I'm saying, which was good and cool. And like you said, the system is not in favor of, the father. And I think it's more so has to do with men are supposed to be providers, protectors, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. So I think that is where that comes from. So why they expect more and don't really make room for excuses and things of that sort. If we look at the culture and how it's set up, even if you are a believer, it's the way it's set up that way too. So, but I think that more women though need to be a little bit more cognizant of the fact that how you present or portray that child's father in front of them is going to affect them, and it will have a great impact on your relationship with your children. And what a lot of women don't think about is when that child gets older, the things that you think are going to stay in the dark, they will come to the light. That child will start to ask questions when they get older. They'll start to see how what you said about their father doesn't really coincide with what they're seeing in their father and how he's behaving and how he's moving and acting. And they're going to have some questions. And then you're going to have to take the blunt of that. And then you become the bad guy. So I don't know what advice would you have for women who feel?
Hey, Lady J, I'm having a technical difficulty with my headset, so work with me. I can hear you on the phone, and it's real low. But
what
and I know
advice?
we got 15 minutes left.
What advice would you give to women
So
to help?
because I'm looking at the time too. I'm like, I know we got 15 minutes left. So what I'm gonna do is like I said, I'm having this technical difficulty. I really can't hear, but let me give you my ending statement, because by the time I log off and try to log back in and pop back in, I'll be at the very end of the show. So I'm gonna say this. I'm going to say, in a situation where the manipulation happens, I think this is where you have to challenge yourself to say, how do I be the best parent I can be? You have to challenge yourself and say that and say, okay, in order for me to be the best parent I can be, that means I need to have an open line of communication and understanding with the other parent. And as much as you hate it, you have to do it, because the most important reason why you're doing it is because that little person relies on you. And that goes on both sides of the fence. That little person relies on you, and you cannot let them down. And it's a huge letdown if you decide you're going to let your selfishness get in the way of that. If you decide you're going to let your selfishness and your bitterness and you being upset get away with that, then you are failing. You are a failing parent. I haven't said that you failed yet, because you can turn it around, but you are a failing parent if you allow that to happen, though. On my Facebook page, there is a a Hall of Fame running back that played in the NFL. His name is Curtis Martin. He has an incredible story of how his father was an abuser, and at 4 to 6 years old, he actually thought about stabbing his father to death while he was asleep. And he said the only reason he didn't do it is because he didn't feel like he was strong enough to push the knife through his father's chest.
Wow.
And how the story's so incredible. I actually, if you want to check it out, it's on my Facebook page, Keith Omar Jackson. For anybody who's listening, if you want to, if you want to go to my friends and go to my page and add me as a friend, I'll accept it. And just go on my timeline. It's not far down. It's Curtis Martin's story. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. I challenge everyone to go check that out. We're talking about, especially with this, manipulating children thing and abusive relationships and so forth. But the whole idea of how Curtis Martin, he ended up years later after he hit the NFL, and I want to say, after he bought his mom a car or whatever, he's probably 3-4 years in the league. They're driving by and they see his father on a bus stop. And he said, "Mom, you should pick him up." And she was like, of course, she had some choice words. And he was like, "Mama, I seen you so bitter and mad, and you still are, even years after you ain't dealing with him." He was like, "You ain't never gonna get that off your chest, basically, if you don't, you know what I'm saying, if you don't let it go." And so reluctantly, she did it. She turned around and picked him up, and she dropped him off. And she said she had this overwhelming sense of relief because she did that. And I honestly believe a lot of these women and even men, if you stop trying to up one each other and just focus on the child, you'll have so much sense of relief and freedom, because everything you do as a parent, you do for your children. At least you should. Everything you do. So I want to leave people with that. I know we have about 10 minutes left on the show, and by the time I log off to try to get my headset and stuff working, the show gonna be over with. So I'm gonna leave everybody with that one, Lady J. I hope you can take it and run with it and close the show off right. And because for whatever reason my headset just went out, but it's crazy. But I just believe that these parents, if you just focus on what's really important is the child.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever the child wants to do when it comes to, because you have kids, my son was a daddy's boy. When I said daddy's boy, he used to take his coat, his hat, his gloves, walk to the front door, sit at the door and be like, "Daddy, daddy." And he was 1, 2, 3 years old at this daddy. And she he at work. And he'd be he would not leave that front door until I got off work, and she would call me. "This boy been sitting at the door for almost 2 hours. I can't get him to get away from the door, so you gotta have to come get him." And I get off work and I come get him. And to her credit, she allowed it. You know what I'm saying? But people, they have to understand everything is for the child. It is not for you. The child didn't ask to be here. So your negotiation is not for yourself. Your negotiation is strictly to be in the best benefit of that child.
Exactly. I agree. So I agree with everything Keith Omar said. And to piggyback off of that, when you have children with somebody, um, first and foremost, women, you have to understand that that's who you chose to lay down with. That's who you chose to allow to deposit into you. And that's who you chose to uh go through the 10 months with and have that child. Now, you have to take complete and total ownership of that. Hold yourself accountable. If he had kids before you laid with him and he wasn't taking care of them and you decided to get pregnant behind that, that's on you too. Um, Understand that your children, once you have children, it is no longer about you. They come first. You are not just responsible for their financial well-being. You're not just responsible to keep a roof over their head, food in their mouths and clothes on their backs. You are also responsible for their emotional health, their mental health, their spiritual health. You
Hey,
are
Lady J, I
responsible
hate to
for that.
interrupt you, but you fading in and out on me, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to log off now and and I will catch you a little later. All
Okay.
right, TV, all right, Radio Land. I'm sorry that I'm having technical difficulties at the end, but I hope I got my point across, and I'm hoping you all enjoying the show. Peace,
Mm.
everybody.
Yeah. So thanks Keith for his final thought. But as I was saying, you are responsible for all of that as their mother. Okay. And it is selfish for you to put your feelings above their needs. Put your wants above their needs. Having a father in their life is a necessity. Having a relationship with their father is a necessity. Whether or not he is paying child support, whether or not he has moved on and is talking to somebody else, with somebody else, married somebody else, have kids with somebody else, whether or not he hurts your feelings, none of that matters when it comes to making sure that your child has an opportunity to be in relationship with their father. Um, you cannot control what the man does, who he's with, or none of that. Your job is to forgive so you can move on. And if you don't, then your bitterness affects your ability to be an effective parent. I'm telling you from experience. Okay. I have exposed my children to certain things they should not have been exposed to, not just because of the things that I grew up in. Yes, that was a part of it because that's what I was taught. That's what I learned. That's the environment that I grew up in. But adding to that, some of the decisions that I made and the people that I decided to have children with or marry at that time also played a role in that. But I have to take responsibility too for my decisions and go do the work so that I can be a better parent. Okay, so my children could have what I didn't have. So as a mother, I want you to really think about that. And when you see that this man is trying, he's trying to be a part of his kids' lives, and yes, my kids, their fathers are a part of their lives now. In every shape, form, or fashion. Thank God for that. It took a lot of being the bigger person, being mature, you know, putting my feelings on the back burner. You know what I'm saying? And working through those myself and understanding that they didn't ask to be here. And it took a lot of forgiving, and learning how to co-parent to get to this point. But ultimately, the goal has to be the emotional, mental, physical, social health of that child. So understand that it's no longer about you when you have children. Also, do not make it difficult for that man to be in his child's or children's lives. You have a responsibility as a mother. You're the nurturer. You're the nurse. You're the cook. You're the counselor. All of that. But you cannot be both the problem and the solution at the same time. Do not add to what I'm saying, or do not be a problem in your child's life. Don't
Don't sacrifice your relationship with your children, okay? Because of your bitterness. Don't do it. I promise you, it will backfire on you and you will regret it because your children will grow up to hate you or resent you. And like you heard Keith say, his cousin did not talk to his mother for 5 years. I promise you, it happens all the time. Just don't do it. So I just really thought that today's topic was very important because I've been seeing a lot of that floating around social media, and it's something that I've experienced. It's something that I know that people close to me have experienced. And so I just really wanted to shed a little bit of light on that. And we have to do better when it comes to our children. We have to do better. And we wonder why a lot of our kids are walking around, you know what I'm saying, angry, have no type of conflict resolution skills or any of that. Because one, they don't have an example. You can't resolve conflict with the man you lay down with to have them. And so the one that they're around the most, they're not getting that example at home. So they're watching how other people are reacting out here, which is complete chaos. So keep that in mind. Just if you love your children, put them first. Put your bitterness on the back burner. Don't sacrifice your relationship with them, and don't make it difficult for him to be a part of his kids' lives. Understand, paying child support or giving you money for their financial needs is not synonymous with spending time. I'm sorry, but spending time with the kids will trump money every single time to that kid. He's their father, not yours. So keep that in mind. That is going to be the show. And that's my final thought tonight, y'all, for Relationshipology. Shout out to Jacob Alexander, who is the author, the writer, and the performer of our intro and outro song for Relationshipology. He is JQLM Radio's own. Make sure you go check him out at JacobAlexandermusic.com. Thank y'all for tuning in. You've been tuned in to Relationshipology right here on JQLM Radio with your girl, Lady J, and Keith Omar. We'll catch y'all next time. Oh, we will not be on next week, y'all, because we will be in Atlanta for an event. So we will catch y'all the week after right here on JQLM Radio, a division of Ego Entertainment Network. And I'm out.
The inspiration for the songs because of you. The inspiration for the songs because of you. The inspiration for the songs because of you. You. It's for you. Can you sing it with me, baby?